It is a beautiful day here in Thornbury. So some people are gardening and just really enjoying the sunshine because the weather has not been nice at all. And I guess on one hand, that's a good thing because then more people are not out. They're social distancing at home, still under lockdown. But on the other hand, we all desperately need that sunshine and want it. So we have a wonderful group of people who are going to present. I'll just give a little bit of background in terms of how this online tribute came about. On Wednesday, March the 11th, we had an International Women's Day celebration in Clarksburg, which is right next door to Thornbury. And in planning for that event, we started with the theme, which would have been in 2019 at the end of the year, 2020, perfect vision for the road ahead. And Elaine Demby, who you're going to hear speaking later, she then added on, she was the keynote speaker, she then added on her theme to that, which was give it all you've got, living a masterclass on living a life with no regrets. So we had about 100 women, and our lovely token male, actually we had another male present that day who videotaped the whole thing. And I started this Women Worth and Wellness program 25 years ago, and the whole focus is on helping women be the very best they can be at every age and stage, knowing that health is a cornerstone. If you don't have your health, we now know you're not going anywhere. So as a wealth advisor, I would find that people would get so uptight about the returns, their, whatever, that I just thought, we need to have that balance. We focus on health and then we focus on wealth. And once you get those two working, then you have your self-worth, you feel great about yourself, and that leads to the net worth. So it's a whole package. And if you've seen the logo with Women Worth and Wellness, it's basically when you put your hands up, it's like, yes, I feel great, I can move forward. So we had a terrific day. We had people still signing up the morning of, and so I kept asking people, can we accommodate 5 more at our facility? Can we add that many more food? It literally was a loaves and fishes situation. The caterer just did an amazing job. Her food is always delicious, and the food was fabulous. So we focused on women living to be 100 and how do we stay well to live well to 100. Away we go, had a great time. We had a wellness panel. We had Elaine as the keynote speaker. We left that day on top of the world, only to find out that that was 3/11, the day the world was shut down with COVID-19. And it was like, oh my goodness, this is so shocking. So as we're all coming to terms with that lockdown, and what is this all about, as more and more lockdowns occurred, then this awful tragedy in Portapique on April 18 and 19 happened. And it was like, oh my goodness. And of course, the whole feeling is there, but by the grace of God, go we. That situation with that crazy person could have happened in any community across Canada. And when you see those beautiful people who died, especially the moms and daughters, it was just unbelievable. So that's when we said, and I went back to the group who were presenters that day and said, well, I first spoke with Elaine and then said, would you be interested in reaching out? With the whole idea to be a fundraiser for the United Way in Colchester County to help with your social services to help people in that community who are dealing with this tremendous loss. Well, we know that since then, 2 other very special women, in addition to Heidi, the RCMP officer, there was Abigail, the helicopter crash off the coast of Greece. And then more recently, last Sunday with Jen. I mean, it just is unbelievable. And then, of course, the little boy, Dylan, goes missing and still hasn't been found. So it's just one heartbreak after another. So that's the purpose of today's event. And it's for us to really share our empathy and our sympathy and our best wishes to the best that we can as we reach out from our hearts to your hearts in Nova Scotia. And just briefly, I'll tell you who the people were on March the 11th who were present. We had Tara Hunt. Her business is Anytime Fitness in Collingwood. Cecile, Live Life Fit in Thornbury. Melissa, Lemonade Collective in Thornbury, my recent virtual assistant who's really helped me with so much. Nick, of course, he was the speaker that day, or the #1 sponsor, and he's with RBC Dominion Securities in Collingwood. Andrea from Georgian Hills Vineyards, and Paula Hope as the counselor. And as they share their thoughts, they will reintroduce themselves and share their special messages. So I'll let Lydia, she created a poem, which I saw on Facebook. I gave credit to the wrong person, but then tracked her down. And it is just so incredibly poignant. So Lydia, if you could just briefly introduce yourself and then read your poem, that would be great. And then I'll introduce Deborah, who comes after you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me to this wonderful event today. I'm a 59-year-old grandmother, and I've battled severe depression for well over 35 years now. And it seems like when something like this happens, my muse comes out. I get so depressed over the people, the beautiful people that have lost their lives and the events that had happened, that on this day, I just sat and it just started pouring out of me because I was glued to the TV with my laptop, and I just kept thinking, oh my gosh, these poor families, what are they going through? It's just, I can't even imagine. So, like I said, with battling depression, everything has to come out. If you get it on paper, it's not boggling up your head. And so with that being said, I wrote this here little piece for Nova Scotia, and it's very dear to my heart. And I think it came together when I found out that one of the victims was expecting, and all I kept thinking was this tiny little bud, and this is where this poem came from, and it's called A Nova Scotia Bouquet. So much sadness, so much pain, and so many lives lost in vain. They did nothing, went about their day, no idea what's to come their way. The trail of devastation left in his wake, the innocent, the beautiful lives he would take. No, I didn't know them. We had never met. I didn't know the families, and to this is my regret. My heart hurts still, warm tears fall like rain. Nova Scotians gather to grieve for all the slain. Heaven's gates were open to welcome them above. Left behind to mourn was a province full of love. Nova Scotia's flowers we lost that dreadful day. 22 flowers and one tiny bud, a beautiful bouquet. And it just resonated to me that we had 22 beautiful lives and this tiny little bud that never had a chance to grow. And I just had to get it on paper. So thank you. I just really appreciate the chance to speak about it.
Well, I'm so glad you came on, and I hadn't heard from Lydia, so I was going to read it myself, but it's not the same when it's something that you've created. So we'll certainly talk later about other poems you've written and see if we can get something published. Excellent.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce Deborah Gillis, and she is really, really special. Everybody's really, really special. She's originally from Cape Breton, and Deborah and I have known one another for a bunch of years, and we keep bumping into one another in lots of different places. She said, don't read my whole bio, but you know what? When people's bio is this significant, why wouldn't I share it? Deborah is currently the president and CEO of CAMH Foundation, which is the Center for Addiction and Mental Health in Toronto. She's dedicated her career to driving social change. Canadians, through the foundation, it's transforming how Canadians understand and address mental illness in the workplace and in society. In her previous role, she was the president and CEO of Catalyst, based in New York, for focusing on advancing women's most powerful CEOs and leading companies and how to accelerate and advance women into leadership. She began her career in the public sector, where her early work focused on employment equity, anti-racism, and LGBTQI rights. She went on to become a consultant and practice leader with global professional service firms, PricewaterhouseCoopers and Grant Thornton, where she again championed initiatives to mentor women. She also worked in the Nova Scotia government and stood as a candidate for elected office. During this time in politics, that's when she really understood the power of role models and the urgent need for more of them to inspire girls and young women. She's received national and international accolades for her advocacy. In 2016, she was named one of Canadian Business Magazine's 10 most powerful business people and was awarded the Foreign Policy Association Medal. In 2017, she was appointed to the Canada-United States Council for Advancement of Women Entrepreneurs and Business Leaders, and also accepted an honorary Doctor of Laws from Cape Breton University. She serves on the Board of Governors of St. Francis Effect. So Deborah, over to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate that kind introduction. And I really appreciate being part of this conversation and this special event today. If you picked up on some of the themes in Nancy's introduction, in many ways, this event brings together all the things that I'm most passionate about in life. Women coming together to support each other, and Nick, because I always say women can only support each other with the support of good men who are our allies and advocates for us, so thank you. Mental health, which is the focus of my current work and career, and my love for Nova Scotia. When Nancy first reached out to me about this event, I said to her, the windows in my living room in my house in downtown Toronto are covered with homemade Nova Scotia tartan hearts, which was a small way for me to say to my community and neighbors that my heart was not only broken, but my heart was in Nova Scotia, and that I hoped that personal gesture in some way reached across the miles so that you knew in your communities that you were not alone and that people were sharing the pain and grief that you were all feeling. CAMH has an important tagline that is mental health is health. And I think at no point ever have we understood the link between our physical health and our mental health as we do right now. Every conversation about COVID is talking about the stress and anxiety and all of the issues that our isolation is bringing for us. And so we have, first of all, remind everyone that whether we're dealing with this situation or the grief that so many of you in Colchester County and across Nova Scotia have experienced, those feelings are normal. There are many important ways that we can take care of each other and ourselves. Lydia sharing her poem and how writing is important for her is one example. Journaling is an example. There are many things that we can do, and there are resources at camh.ca that might help, both help as you're coping with the situation that you're in, but also provide some assessment tools for people to understand if what they're experiencing is more serious and might require some help. So I'd encourage you to go there. In the spirit of this particular event, I wanted to share something from a campaign that CAMH has been running since early on in the pandemic. And our campaign is called Apart, Not Alone. And the message that we're trying to share is that while we are socially isolated and away from each other, we are not alone. We're in this together. And it's certainly my belief that the community spirit that exists in Colchester County and across Nova Scotia, the social cohesion that unites people, particularly in moments like this, that's what gives me hope and confidence that you will all come through this stronger because you know that you're in it together. And so I'd just like to take a minute to read this ad because I think it's really powerful in the spirit of this event. As we continue to wake up apart, drink our coffee apart, work apart, care for our families apart, try to stay active apart, walk our dogs apart, teach our grandparents how to video chat apart, watch reruns of our favorite shows apart, forget what day it is apart, miss our friends apart, worry about our health and our jobs and our loved ones apart, stress about our finances apart, wonder if things will ever go back to normal apart, laugh apart, cry apart, and be apart. It's important to know that you are not alone in this. Apart, not alone. That's my message to you in Colchester County, in Portapique, in Truro, across Nova Scotia. We're with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Melanie? Can
you hear me?
Now we can. A recent grad from the Schulich MBA program on the Dean's List with a 2-year-old.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Nancy, for the opportunity to be present. I am really passionate about instilling empathy in the next generation of leaders. So in my corporate or my career life, I manage communications for the Ontario Nonprofit Network. But in my spare time, what I really love doing is researching about empathy and how do we make sure that the next generation of leaders are empathetic, so that way when we are in times of crisis or in times of tragedy, we can have leaders who can help support everyone in this situation. So today, as we give our thoughts and prayers to those who have suffered from this tragedy, I also want to remind everyone that we do have the power to take action to support the situation. Part of that is being empathetic and altruistic ourselves. So making sure that if we do have the opportunity, that we do give to important causes like the United Way in Colchester County, but also teaching our children empathy. So in the last 6 months, I've read over 170 research papers and articles on this topic. And what I realize is that teaching empathy to young children not only has this massive list of benefits that help us in situations like these, but it's also a lot easier than we think to do. We can start storytelling by acting and role playing, and even just discussing empathy and the importance of empathy at the dinner room table makes a huge difference in the skill development of this for them as they grow into adults. So whether you're a mother, a grandmother, an aunt, or a father like Nick, I want to encourage you to not only find ways to support others through these difficult times, but to also remember to find ways to empower your little ones to become empathetic too. Because right now our present may be filled with tragedy and crisis. But if we teach the next generation to be more empathetic, then hopefully our future beyond all of this can be brighter for everyone. So thank you so much again for the opportunity to speak, and my heart really goes out to everyone who's been affected by this tragedy.
Wonderful. Tara?
Hello everyone, my name is Tara Hunt. Together with my husband and partner, we own Anytime Fitness Health Club. So my husband and I got our start in healthcare working at Canada's largest mental health hospital for the criminally insane. And the events that occurred in Nova Scotia in April were part of what I would consider a senseless crime. It was a reminder to all of us that evil does exist. And having visited Nova Scotia while pregnant with my now 13-year-old daughter, I've experienced the warmth, the generosity, the kindness, and the compassion of the people out east. The victims are all heroes, having protected others in the line of fire. Nothing can prepare one for the deep loss of a loved one. There's an emptiness that comes with loss. Please know that you are not alone, and that we feel your loss and we feel your pain. And today, we honor your strength and your courage. Thank you. Namaste.
Thanks, Tara. Cecile?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Cecile. I did spend my first part of my professional career 33 years in funeral services. So I do have some understanding of the pain and grief that you're experiencing right now. But over the past few months, your communities have suffered great loss. Whether you lost your mother, your daughter, your child, or your friend, your pain is real. You may have feelings of anger or overwhelming sadness, denial, or disbelief. These are all normal feelings, and as you move through the different stages of grief, be kind to yourself. Never apologize for your emotions or to try to push them aside. Acknowledge how you're feeling and turn to each other to help ease the pain. People will often say that time will heal your pain. Right now, I'm sure you don't feel this way, but maybe with time, it will help ease your pain. Your life will look different now without your loved one, but it's important to keep their memory alive. Continue to celebrate their birthday. Don't put their pictures away, but add more to your walls and mantle. Make a homemade Christmas ornament that you will hang on your tree each year so they are still part of your celebration, and don't be afraid to speak their name. You are a strong and powerful community, and you will get through this, personally, as families, and as a community. You may not know how or when your lives will be normal again, or if ever, but have hope and faith. Comfort each other and love each other deeply, and don't be afraid to ask for help. There are people who want to help you get through this. You don't need to have to walk through this alone.
Thanks, Cecile. Melissa?
Hi, my name is Melissa Goldman, co-owner of Lemonade Collective in the Blue Mountains. This tragic event in Nova Scotia, as well as the current events that are happening in our world today, has really led me to think about empathy. Empathy, the power of putting yourself into someone else's shoes and contemplating life as them, is one of the most strongest leadership strengths. The better we understand people and the more we know their stories, the more likely we are to show compassion and grace towards them. Being able to show empathy is to be able to step back and think about why someone has done something or acted a certain way, or being able to ask them why, rather with care rather than judgment. Social media and our rapid, fast-paced society has made it very easy for us to jump to judgment, put things in writing instantly, and make rash decisions, as well as change someone's lives forever, instantly. I believe we are in each other's lives to improve each other's stories. We have the ability to change each other's stories, and others have the ability to change ours. This is a powerful responsibility that we have. Every day, our stories have the chance to go in many different directions, and the people around us have the ability to change our course. Grief is a powerful feeling, feeling that many in Nova Scotia and around the world are feeling right now. When I was younger, my first introduction to grief was the loss of 5 boys in our community. This was the first introduction to me seeing all the different ways that people grieve, or the reactions to grief. Seeing the parents, the families, the friends, some people acting differently if it was them reacting spiritually or leading to depression, or some found a way to have a thirst to live life better, just because they realized that life can be so short. But the correlation was that everyone missed and loved those that were lost. Our stories shape our actions and reactions to life events. We may not understand why people react or act the way they do, but we have the power to try to understand them and help them through something like grief. We have the power to show compassion towards others through empathy. So I encourage you to step back when you don't judge people. When you have the urge to judge, try to understand. Be there for one another, cheer each other on, and watch each other grow. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. Nick?
Hi all. Thanks so much again for involving me in this. You know, March 11th, we had this Women, Worth, and Wellness event that we put together. And it's interesting to me that at the time, what we were acknowledging with that event is to some degree acknowledging the adversity and, you know, challenges that exist today and that would exist ahead. And who would have known that the domino effect would unfold as it has since then, with COVID and some of this Nova Scotia disaster and others. So, but I think actually a lot of the previous speakers, like Deborah, having said, that big emphasis on recognizing the difference between apart, not alone, is entirely true. How have we in the past addressed adversity? And in every scenario, it has resulted in uniting to overcome the adversity. And I think that's what we're doing today, and that is the answer, is coming together to unite against adversity, to protect our willingness to live free. And so I think that these recent examples of adversity, so severe, have only, I think, reminded us that this is why we almost foreshadowed to some degree the things that have happened since our March 11th event. So I think we have to continue to recognize that. And health is your number one asset. Make no mistake. Health and happiness, and mental health is health. Absolutely. So I just wanted to say I was very thankful to be involved, and to just, those are my versions of empathetic thoughts. But in whatever challenges that we may work on together, it's about coming together, recognizing the challenges, and there's only one way forward. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Nick. Andrea?
Hey. Hello. My name is Andrea O'Reilly, and I'm the manager of operations and marketing with Georgian Hills Vineyards in the Blue Mountains. So I want to say that I really was taken back and trying to think of a quote that would epitomize all of this. And for whatever reason, this quote came to mind. Hold on to the love and not to the loss. And so then I started to think about that. And it's like now more than ever, like I'm going to direct it to the Nova Scotians, my Nova Scotian friends. You're being asked to move into the consciousness of the heart, where love, compassion, and I call it at one moment become your governing virtues. But when we see through the eyes of the heart, we burn back the darkness. And I think it's really important. So my message to you would be that with the healing journey ahead, it's a long journey, but the challenge is to see and feel not from the mind, but with the heart. So my message is short, but it's like from our hearts to your hearts. Namaste.
Lovely. Okay, I'll now introduce Elaine very briefly. Elaine and I, over my Women Worth and Wellness career, have spent a lot of time together on different events, and we've certainly had a lot of fun. We really have. One time somebody said, Nancy, where did you get the idea for all of this? And I said, well, from my mother, of course. Everybody gets it from their mother. So I thought, the year that my mother would have turned 100, I really do need to do a special event to honor her. She died when she was 83, so she was long gone. So we did a one-day event, and it was really like a symphony. There's this instrument, and then there's this one, and then there's this one. We had the Lever brothers doing the Real Women, Real Bodies, and the different ones that were in that ad campaign. The theme was mind, body, spirit. Your mind chooses it, but your body has to be strong. And once you get both of those working, then you get to the best essence of you. And so our final speaker was Margaret Trudeau, because really, think about all she'd been through. Well, she was just dynamite. And at the end of the day, women said, oh my God, you should have a debriefing chamber, because they were once again wound up like tops. But half the time it's Elaine who winds them up. So she is a chiropractor, 42 years, but she's also an author and an inspirational speaker. She's written 2 books. One's called Passionate Longevity, The 10 Secrets to Growing Younger. And her most recent book is Use the Good Dishes, Finding Joy in Everyday Life, which she has just revamped because of what we've come through with COVID in particular. And so Elaine has some very good words to share with us. So over to you, Elaine.
Thank you, Nancy. Hello, everyone. I've always found meaning and comfort in this line from Leonard Cohen's timeless song, Anthem. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. No matter what befalls us, loss of loved ones, pandemic, illness, divorce, we have a choice. We can either fixate on the broken parts of our lives or notice the light streaming in. For those in Nova Scotia, the process of seeing the light will take time, and there's no timetable. You are in a liminal space, the time between what was and what will be. It's the waiting place for grief, where one feels raw and vulnerable. But let us shine a light for you into that space. Just know you are not alone. We are here with you, walking alongside you without judgment or fixing or advising. We only offer unconditional support and compassion. Realize you have inner strength and an unsinkable spirit. Loss teaches us the depth and power of our love and our resilience. Resilience involves peeling the sorrowful layers away to a deeper core of healing. It's a slow and gradual process. Be with the people who love you. Reach out to your closest friends. Immerse yourself in nature. Be in stillness. When you feel the waves of sadness, breathe in and breathe out. Deep inhales and exhales. In time, you will be able to savor the happy memories and the good in your life. Recently, I've had the privilege of interviewing many individuals for a new book I'm releasing with a pandemic theme. For over 2 months, we've all been living through loss, fear, and disruption, routines upended with uncertainty for the future. With social distancing, we can't even hug loved ones. We're experiencing a Joni Mitchell moment. Don't it all seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? When life strips everything away, we become more conscious of our values, more aware of what truly matters. Here are some keys to using the good dishes no matter what life serves up. We must learn to adapt to change, embrace feelings of unease. If you want to live fully, we must accept life as it is, its disappointments and losses, as well as its joys and triumphs. When bad things happen, there's no point in asking, why me? It happens to all of us. Learn mindfulness. It helps us stay grounded in the moment so that we don't get lost in the machinations of our minds. Like wild horses, our minds gallop to worst-case scenarios, which cause stress symptoms like broken sleep and mood changes. Music, nature, and laughter are healing. Remember, whatever emotions we are feeling are temporary. Maintain perspective on your situation. Stop ruminating and breathe. Health is number one, your health. In this time of uncertainty, there is evidence everywhere that humanity is alive and well, fueled by compassion, cooperation, kindness, generosity, and gratitude. People reaching out to help families, neighbors, and their communities. Celebrate those loved ones we've lost, we were privileged to know. Honor their life stories. They are the gifts for our heart, unextinguishable by time. We take them with us on our journey forever. Most of all, don't postpone joy. We postpone joy when we inhabit the future and wait for something big to make us happy. We postpone joy when we inhabit the past and fester in regret and resentment. Real joy is found in the present, in the process of living, in the hundreds of tiny, ordinary moments that we experience each day. 20 years ago, I wrote a poem called Use the Good Dishes. I would like to recite an excerpt from this poem. The beauty of life is the journey, all the day-to-day lessons we learn. Be grateful for the rough ones, the pain and the tough ones. Everyone has their turn. Each day is a gift. It's a present we should be so thankful for. Open it now, don't save it. We never know what's in store. One of these days is here now. Don't look back with regret. When you live, when you laugh, when you love, the good dishes on the table of life you have set. Thank you.
Would you like me to start, Nancy?
There we go. Yes. Thank you, Elaine. That was excellent. And certainly all of those very special people are ones to remember forever and to keep them front and center in your life every day. Yes, Paula, over to you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Councillor Paula Hope from the town of Blue Mountains. Thank you to Nancy Griffiths, our organizer, for this moment to reach out to Nova Scotia Women Strong. Nancy and I, and many friends on the line, along with my colleague on council, Andrea Masteros, we're all from the town of Blue Mountains. The town of Blue Mountains, as many of you know here, is a beautiful corner of the province of Ontario, with stunning vistas and women with big hearts, and men, Nick, sorry, not unlike the spectacular province of Nova Scotia, with its gorgeous lands and its remarkable women who also have huge hearts. I have visited Nova Scotia many times in my life, in every season, and I'm always humbled by the grace and warmth of your people. I love flying into the Halifax airport, well most times, except when the weather is bad, and then I have to say it's hell. But other than that, on a good weather day, however, high up from the sky, you can see miles and miles of forest, preparing your visitors for the fact that they are in for a real treat, and that they will soon be in a very special part of this spectacular country called Canada. I always sing farewell to Nova Scotia quietly in the plane, even though I am just arriving. I love that song and the love for your province that it demonstrates. And the next time I fly into Halifax Airport, in fact, into any airport, I will think of the heart in the sky that one of your generous citizens drew with his plane. What an act of kindness, and yes, of heart. Come to think of it, this gentleman's generosity is no big surprise because he comes from a land of such giving, loving people. The people of Nova Scotia, the women of Nova Scotia, who are fabled for their big-heartedness. Because you have such big hearts, we are here to help you lift them in this very challenging time. Here's a virtual hug to let you know that we are with you always. And we are looking to do everything we can to help those women who've given so much to their families and loved ones. Nova Scotia Women Strong, we are grateful to you and for you. Thank you for your heart and for your strength. Please know that this too shall pass, and as Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth shared in her recent speech, there will be better times. Keep safe and keep well. Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. As I've said to several people in planning this and bringing it together, we take life for granted, but we know that it is really very fragile and it goes by very fast. It's very fleeting. So I think just building on Elaine's message that knowing that today is the present, that's why it's called a gift. So we need to live each day exceptionally well. Kathy, over to you.
Thank you. My name is Kathy Hinton, and I'm a town councillor for the town of Truro in my beloved Truro, Nova Scotia, and beloved province, Nova Scotia. I was honored to be contacted after my interview with CBC Radio, asking if Women, Worth, and Wellness could team up with the United Way to benefit the special mothers and daughters who were innocent victims in the Colchester County during the horrific tragedy on April 18th and 19th. Our community has been deeply shaken. Unfortunately, 3 other life-changing events have occurred following the nightmare in a 1-month period. Lives senselessly taken, caring hearts who never had the chance to let their light shine longer, seniors who added such flavor to our community, a baby never to be born. All kind, adventurous, multifaceted, with their hopes and dreams gone too soon. Children left behind to deal with this nightmare and the never-ending question of why. Women left to mourn the loss of their partner, husband, child, sibling, co-worker, friend, cousin, parent, grandparent, and neighbor. So many victims need to be loved and supported, and through your kindness, they will be. Our community and our province, we feel your love, and we love you back. We are Nova Scotia strong. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. It was, we'll have to get the link for that CBC interview. I think it was Michael Enright, wasn't it? Along with Bruce Walsh.
Yes, it was Michael Enright.
Right, he's a super guy. Okay, thank you so much. Terry, so maybe tell us about United Way and the social services that you're providing into the community. And again, I'll do another reach out for people to send in donations if they haven't already, or if they want to send more. Money's always welcome, right, Terry?
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. So first of all, just thank you for reaching out. And I have to tell you, I'm just feeling a little emotional right now.
Right.
The sentiments that you shared are really heartwarming, and they do make a difference. They do help you be stronger. And Kathy is she's so passionate, and I love the energy and the way she can express herself. Myself personally, I find I can handle, I don't know if that's the right word, but grief, I feel like I'm stronger. I can manage, but my feelings, I get really emotional when something really good happens, and my heart just swells. So you all being here and doing this for us, it's very powerful, and I really appreciate it. I've been with United Way for 6 years. I'm originally from Cape Breton, so I'm wearing my Nova Scotia tartan, but if I look across my room, I have a Cape Breton tartan as well, so I share that because of Deborah on the line here. And also I'm sporting my X-ring, Deborah, because if you are governor for the St. of X community, so I have to share that.
Very good. Excellent.
Yeah, so at United Way, we're all about supporting our vulnerable citizens, young, old, everybody in between. And since March, since the pandemic started, we've been doing just that with funding support from our governments, from our donors, and with the tragedy with Portapic and our friends and neighbors out there. We've been looking for a way that we can support folks because we can't fund individuals directly. So programs that are impacting people right now we support like Hospice Society, our Canadian Mental Health, our local branch, Colchester East Hants branch. And I see us also working with our Families Resource Center in the future, because there's children and families that need support out there as well. So this is not just the current need, this will be ongoing for quite some time. Other things that are happening as well is I guess for us and for a lot of people in Nova Scotia, I guess we don't want to be remembered for the worst mass murder in history, in Canada's history. We want something's going to come out of this, something that's going to come out of this that's going to make us stronger, and that light that's coming into those cracks, we're going to see that. And there are conversations now happening about a legacy project. United Way is involved with that, but it's just so beginning, and we have to wait for the right time as well. It's not the right time right now to look to that legacy project, but between the Communities Foundation and United Way and some other donors, things will be happening for a legacy project that will be powerful, meaningful, and just have such an impact in that community. So that's longer term, but those are the things that are happening here on the ground. I also just want to share some thoughts because I'm sitting here listening to all the kind things and wonderful supportive things you are saying. And I want to share the things that captured me were, well, Lydia's poem. There's so many works of art that have come out that are coming from this. And I don't have the poem in front of me, but I encourage you to Google and find Sherry Fitch's poem. I think it's called Because We Love, We Cry. It's beautiful. And she wrote that as a result of this and this tragic situation. Something that's gotten me through grief that I turn to is there's a young folk singer. Her name is Kim Wempe. She's originally from Humboldt, Saskatchewan. She wrote this song before they had their tragedy. But it just speaks to me every time I hear these words, and I'm going to read a couple of lines because I think it's just really nice. And the song is called Waves of Color, and it's really tiny print, so I have to take my glasses off. It says, and even after a deep breath, there's still a heaviness on our chests. Maybe it's just you sitting on our hearts, just so we know you're still here. And I see you in waves of color. Like, the song is beautiful. So how many deep breaths do you take? So if you think about that deep breath, and it makes you think, well, maybe you're still here. You're still here on my heart. So I found that quite moving. So again, I'll just say thank you. I could go on, but I just want to thank you for all your support and know that it makes a difference financially, emotionally. It's huge. And thank you from the bottom of my heart.
You're most welcome. And I think what you can see is that, we had this event on March the 11th, and all of the people that you heard from were participants in that event. And so when I asked them if this was of interest, you can see that everybody just felt so connected to that awful situation. And especially when you see the victims, those victims could be on the screen with us. They were just lovely, lovely, lovely people whose lives were just cut down so quickly and so tragically. And then to have all those other events happen with Jen and Abigail, and just really, really, really unbelievably tragic. So it really is, I think it was Andrea who said, from our hearts to your heart. Does anybody, I want to give everybody a big, huge gold star. I mean, really down here, reactions, we give everybody applause because we've got time left over. So is there anybody who wants to add on anything, any additional thoughts before we wrap it all up? Roz, how about you? Roz is leading an organization here called the Institute of Southern Georgian Bay. We have lots of municipalities, and of course we have lots of silos. So the Institute is all about going across and bringing things all together.
Well, thanks, Nancy, and hello to all of you who I know and all of my new friends. I think during this time, one of the greatest things that's happening is that people are so anxious to be connected. And the more we can do to hold on to the pacing of this time, to the connecting with people of this time, to the new ideas that are developing during this time, and certainly to be embracing our artists and our creative people who are giving us solace. They say that through crisis there are opportunities. I'm completely moved by what I'm hearing today. And hope that all of us together across the country can continue to share our love with each other. Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks, Roz.
I'd just like to say a thank you to everybody. This has been a very moving experience. It was so awful to watch things unfold in Portapique at the time that it affected everybody around the world. But having an opportunity like this to just reflect and hear from the leaders in your community, it gives one hope that we will learn a lesson from this or take things forward from this to make things better. I'm not sure how that will happen. Everybody here has great ideas, but it needs to be something profound that, you know, we can ensure that at the least little bit we can not have this happen again. So I will be listening to interest to the RCMP investigation and how somebody that was so mentally ill continued for so long. So thank you. I'd just like to say thanks to Nancy and thank you all. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Beth.
Nancy, it's Kathy. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to you and to everyone. This has been a bright light today in a very dark month. And I always refer to a song I always loved by Jewel, and the words were, "In the end, only kindness matters." And I believe that's true. Thank you.
Well, you know how people sign off and they say, be well or whatever. Anyway, I saw one recently that I've adopted. It says, stay well, be smart. I thought that was an interesting statement, and be kind. So stay well, be smart, and be kind. I mean, kindness at the end of the day really makes such a huge difference. And it's just the little things that really are the best. The one thing that I'm realizing we have in common, so maybe we can have an interchange when we're all allowed out, is we have great beaches. Like you have a great beach and we have unbelievable beaches here. So not that I want to be seen in a swimsuit anytime soon, but you know, maybe that's an opportunity for a gathering in the future. And we had the wellness panel, the ladies that you heard speak, that's what they're all about, is being physically well, which enhances our mental health as well. Anybody else want to make any final comments before we wrap up ahead of time? Thank you, everybody, for participating. Wonderful. And it's recorded, so we'll make sure that you get a copy of it. Actually, Elaine and I yesterday were practicing. If somebody had been videoing that interaction, it would have been on the Comedy Network. Now we have to yell for Crystal. Crystal's in Edmonton, and she is amazing. She knows all the buttons to push and really has just done a super, super job. So thank you so much, Crystal, for all your efforts. And this has been an opportunity for me to do some things online because I can't do any more Women Worth and Wellness events in person. But one person that I did a Women in Philanthropy event last fall, and one of the people who spoke is a First Nations young woman, Mulaney Goodchild. She's just a rock star. She's now on the advisory board of NASA because NASA wants to learn more about climate change through First Nations. And she said, I'm at these special events and we're always indoors. And she said, everything that we have came from Mother Nature. And so I said, well, actually, I really want to have a women's retreat in a very special place. So maybe we can have that first retreat, 2025, maybe in Nova Scotia. Maybe that's the opportunity coming out of this. So anyway, lots of good things. Thank you again to everybody. We've got a song that we want to end with, so I'll let Crystal put that on, and that's it. Thank you again. Enjoy the sunshine.